President Tinubu has the key to Nnamdi Kanu's freedom. So the real question is why? Why is Nnamdi Kanu still locked up? Some of you are still holding on to hope, believing the appeal court will somehow overturn or squash his sentence. But pause for a second. Ask yourself one simple question. What is the mind of the judge? Those three appeal court judges, whose signatures will determine Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's fate. The question we should be asking is who influences their thoughts? Who influences their decisions? In a country like Nigeria, a country whose democracy is heavily presidential, this is a nation where serving ministers build mansions and buy SUVs for serving judges, the same judges that we are putting our hopes on. A nation where judges once sat in a hall and instead of rising to the national anthem of our country, they all stood to recite, "On your mandate we shall stand," a political anthem of a sitting president right after his speech. Think about that for a second. Until today, not one of those highly respected judges has condemned that embarrassing spectacle. Not one, not single one that I've seen of. So again, I ask, what exactly is the mind of those three appeal court judges that are going to determine Nnamdi Kanu's fate? What is in their head? What's going on in their mind? And who influences their mind? But before you answer, remember this. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently went to Ogoniland and posthumously honored the men whose heads were chopped off during the dark days of Ogoni crisis. Men condemned by judges too. Judges, yeah. Those awards that President Tinubu gave to them simply meant one thing. If you ask me, they were innocent. Yet, judges sentenced them to death. And years later, the truth walked back into the room wearing a medal, awards. So tell me, with all this history behind us, are we still depending purely on the independence of the judiciary? Like this judiciary. But while all eyes are on Abuja, let's not pretend about the silence back home in the East. The silence is not deafening. The Igbo self-acclaimed billionaires, the same men who flood Instagram with private jets and golden champagnes, all of a sudden they all lost their voices when it comes to their own brother. The so-called political elite, and I will keep hammering on you people, who claim to represent the Southeast, men who should be in the forefront speaking, negotiating, demanding, rather instead they are hiding behind their positions, calculating their next appointment, and pretending not to see the selective justice or injustice, whichever way you want to say it, happening right under their noses. They all know the truth. They know why this man is still locked up. Yet they choose silence because silence is safer for them. Silence is profitable, and silence keeps them in the good books of those feeding them crumbs from the national table. But the people cannot rise when their loudest men are cowards and their richest men are mute, like a fulefus. And what you're seeing right there is the real tragedy behind Nnamdi Kanu's continued imprisonment. Listen, my Igbo brothers, don't let these politicians play you like cheap drums. If we don't wake up, all of us, if we don't stay alert, this Nnamdi Kanu's case will go south. And when it does, they will leave us, you and I, blaming Justice Omotosho and their appeal court judges. Meanwhile, the real executors will be sitting somewhere in our mother and Isiago caps, sipping tea and smiling at our confusion. Let's be clear, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's fate lies solely in the hands of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as we speak today. He holds the key. He holds the lock. And lest we forget, he has been, praised in so many quarters as the political master strategist in this country. If in their bid, they decide to play chess with the life of Nnamdi Kanu, and if by political error, miscalculation, or sheer carelessness, things go wrong, Mr. President, please, sir, hear this, sir. MNK, Nnamdi Kanu, is not just a man. He is an idea. And history, from Patrice Lumumba to Martin Luther King, from King Saro-Wiwa to every suppressed voice that later rose like a storm, history has shown one thing over and over and over again. One thing you cannot do. One thing history has shown is that you can't kill an idea with a bullet.